And hello, everybody. Again, this is Jim Dabbelt coming to you with the second edition of Dabs on Sports. It is the wee hours of the morning when I'm recording this here in Milwaukee, the second of our two shows. Already took to Brooklyn Pomeroy. With me today is Joe Crawford, a friend of mine from up in Willard, Ohio, who actually is also right now with the Milwaukee Brewers, former pitcher with the Mets. But we're going to talk a little basketball first. Joe, thanks for coming on tonight.
Oh, very happy to be here.
Talk about a little bit, you're the assistant coach up at Willard High School, which is in northern Ohio, north of Columbus. Just give us a brief summary of kind of what Willard is going to look like next year and maybe just a little about the program.
Well, I tell you, it's the best off-season job you can have. I get to go home and help coach high school girls basketball, which I love, and we're fortunate to have had a really good season last year. We didn't lose very much. Most of our impact players, they're all back. They're all for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. We have the King sisters, Maggie, who's a junior, and Cece King, who's a big 6-foot girl, and set the Ohio State junior high shot put record. So I mean, she's quite a force inside, and Maggie's a really good point guard, and we have my daughter Maddie Crawford coming back, and she really hits the boards well, and good block shots, plays really long, and two juniors who are also really good volleyball players, so they have a lot of length to Hannah Adams and Hunter Feltner. So with some other young girls coming up, we're big at every spot. We don't have nobody's 6'4", but we got 6 foot and 5'10" and 5'11" and 5'11" and 5'10", and so we're just kind of big over there. So it's tough to match up with us. So we're excited. They all have another year under their belt, and spending a lot of time last year, ranked 9th in the state in D2 was a good boost for our girls, for them to start believing in themselves. So we're excited.
And you look for that tradition to continue this year.
Yes, absolutely.
You say you have 5 or 6 of your top players back, so you look for that to potentially maybe even progress from last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think so. All the tools are back, so hopefully they work just like they did last year, but just a little more broken in.
I cover Dayton and Cincinnati, Southwest Ohio. Everybody's saying, why don't you come up north? Why don't you come to Central Ohio? So let's touch base a little bit about your area up in northern Ohio. Not necessarily the Toledo, Notre Dame, Toledo Riders. Everybody knows their program is very successful. Just talk about a couple of the players or teams that you want to focus on in your area.
Yeah, our area is kind of like we split Cleveland and Toledo. So if you think of Sandusky, you're up there on the lake, and you go straight south from there. It's all kind of that area. The team probably most people are familiar with right now that are following girls basketball would be Clyde Flyers.
John Cahill does a great job.
Yes, and obviously now he lost 5 seniors from that team last year, including his daughter, who's going to Indiana. But they have Kelsey Michaels back, and she's some kind of force. And she was I think when she was like 6th grade, she won like the boys Ohio wrestling. Like her family's big wrestlers until her and her sister were really good at basketball. Her sister who graduated this year. So I'm very familiar with their program, and their kids are younger kids coming up. So he's not going to miss too much of a beat. I mean, he's going to have a hard time replacing those 5 seniors, but he has a lot of talent coming back. So they'll be knocking on the door again. So I expect them to be one of the best. A team that's also in their league that's really up and coming is Oak Harbor, also up there on Lake Erie.
Right.
And they were very young last year, all freshmen and sophomores. Yes.
They're very solid.
Led by the Andrea Cecil,
right.
A good post player, 6 foot. They have this Athena Eli girl who can just flat out shoot the 3, and surrounded by just a bunch of other young kids that are really, really good. So I know they are even going to be more excited about this year. I think they expect that they're going to make some noise. Then there's always in our league, there's always Bellevue. Bellevue and Willard, we're historically pretty big rivals, like to go at it. Now I know they're looking for a new coach. Their current coach, took another job.
Right.
But Carly Santoro will still be there. She's a senior. She just committed to Bowling Green. She also lost some seniors, so they're going to have to replace some 2 good girls that were in the post present. So we'll see how they do there. But I still expect them to be pretty dang good. So that's our task to handle Bellevue.
Absolutely.
Every year, yeah.
And the thing is, it sounds like the talent up there is going to just get better because it seems like you have good coaches and solid programs up in your area.
Yeah, and Norwalk is also in our league, and I would just point out they've got a girl that was a freshman last year. Her name is Giselle Thomas, and she's going to be a heck of a little point guard. I think you'll start hearing about her. And another girl I know that you've heard about up there, is Renee Stempert,
Sure.
who also plays with my daughter's AAU team,
Okay.
and she's some kind of special too. She's making some noise up there. So, and a team that's kind of close to us, but not really, kind of starts getting that Akron area. A team that I just really like to give a shout out to because I really enjoy watching them and what their coach does, is Wadsworth. And I love watching them play, and I think that everybody should see them play and say, like, this is how I want you.
Traditionally,
talk to
they're
your
outstanding.
play like these girls. They go out there and give it everything they have and leave it all out in the court. So if I ever have a team, I want them to be like Wadsworth. Wadsworth may not win it. Maybe they will. But they're up there every year, and I like the work ethic that coach brings with that team.
Real quickly, talk about your the older daughter who had the ACL. I'm assuming she's doing okay, recovered from that nicely?
Yeah, as any other parents out there have experienced that. I hate talking about it, and I always have to knock on wood, as I'm doing right now,
Sure.
because it changes how you watch the game. Like after every game and everything went fine, it's just a deep exhale. And I watched her, have to go through all the things that girls have to go through with that, and she really busted her tail. Doing a lot of stuff down there at Ohio State, and props to them really getting her back. So she's came back, and she has looked great. She came back halfway through last season, and has really just kept on going, and like down there right now playing in the Deep South Classic in Raleigh and with her team, and it's going well. It's never far from my brain, it's never far from my mind.
And we're sitting here also with Brooklyn Pomeroy, who's we came back, and of course we talked earlier. We talked about the ACL. She also suffered through one. It's like it never really leaves your head. A lot of it's mental, and a lot of it's fighting through. Once you're physically cleared, you wonder how cleared you really are, because it's a lot of it's mental.
Yes, absolutely. And the one thing I have going for me, if you want to call it going for me, is with baseball and stuff is. Actually, since I've been a coach, I actually tore mine and had to have that same thing done to myself. So I kind of knew what she was going to expect, and I was able to tell her, it's going to feel like this. It's not going to feel like your knee. But I tell you what, I cringe every time I hear it because it just seems like every other day you hear of, so and so, and you just feel for any girl that you see that happens to because you know what she's got in front of her, and hopefully it only ever happens once.
Right, and you talked about baseball. We got about 3 minutes left to wrap up. You're with the Brewers, of course, off to an 18-6 record, the best record in baseball. I know we can't go too much into the detail, but just generally speaking, the spirits are up around Milwaukee alone, and the Central Division is going to be pretty tough still.
Oh yeah, I think it's arguably the best division in baseball. To be dead honest with you, Cardinals are always going to be knocking on the door, but we are off to a really hot start. And I said this is my 24th year of pro ball, and I've never been off to this quite of a start. But man, I tell you, every team in Major League Baseball every year is going to win 50 games and you're going to lose 50 games. I don't care who you are.
Right.
It's that other 62, But the more you can win early, it really sets you up for obviously getting close to the trade deadline if you want to make a move.
Right.
Things like that. You just want to put yourself in a good position, and to get off at a hot start with a really tough month, with us having to go to Boston, Philadelphia, play some tough teams, Atlanta, to get off to a start like we have, just really builds confidence in the team, and people start to see, hey, this team is for real. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. I really like our guys, and we got a really good bunch of guys that are a lot of fun and a little crazy, which is the way I like them. I'll take them that way.
Definitely. And of course, you pitched for the Mets. Had your first win against Cincinnati Reds, and just a real quick brief, your progression through went to Kent State. We were talking about Kent State, and you played for the Mets, and just how's it feel just to still be involved in the game, and of course from your another angle,
Yeah, like I said, high school in Ohio, college in Ohio.
And you went to high school at
Hillsborough High School down in Southern Ohio, outside of Cincinnati, Highland County.
Right.
I went to Kent State, and I got drafted. I mean, just everything that I wanted to happen. I mean, I worked hard for it, and things went my way, but to be in baseball, like I have played in every Latin American country in winter ball and summer ball in Mexico.
Right.
I played in Japan for 2 years. So I've been in the big leagues. I've played every minor league city you can think of, independent ball. So if you're ever thinking about sports, you got to love the sport. If you really want to be good at it or be successful at it, you got to love it. Otherwise, it can be a tough road to hoe. So baseball's been very good to me, and now that I'm in this capacity, coaching and scouting and stuff like that, it's just kind of come full circle for me. And and I love the game and I love sports, so I can't really imagine doing anything else.
And not to mention you love girls basketball, and you'll be back this year in the winter with Willard, and we're trying to make plans are in the works to have you come down to our area. We'll kind of see how that works out, but if that does, we'd love to have you come down and get a chance to showcase your kids.
Yes.
As you know, Dayton, Cincinnati is extremely talented with girls basketball, and as you have some friends down in the Dayton area, so
absolutely.
it's going to be another great year, and it seems like it'll be on us before we know it.
Oh yeah, and I would love to be able to bring my girls down to my old stomping grounds, my neck of the woods. I'm really hoping that happens. Be very excited, and you're right. Now that I have 2 daughters, a guy who grew up just being all boy sports and just about baseball and football, whatever.
Right.
You will not find somebody who is more pro women and pro girl sports than me now. I am so all about girls basketball.
Total full circle, right?
Complete full circle.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Of course, I see every year at the Classic in the Country, and you and I both love that event. Tom Jenkins does a great job, and to be involved, to see that kind of talent, you don't see that kind of talent hardly ever in Ohio. I mean, that's state tournament included. That is probably the most exciting. That and the state tournament, without question, are the 2 most exciting times of the year in Ohio.
I would never miss it. I mean, I'm there as much as I can when that thing is going on, and it's quite the experience. If you've never ever been there, you're going to be blown away when you go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the second edition of the Dabs on Sports. This is Jim Dabbelt for Joe Crawford. Till next time, keep watching.